Have you ever stopped and thought about how the United States and the United Kingdom can feel so similar, yet so different? I mean, they share a language, a ton of history, deep cultural roots, but somewhere along the line, their paths split, and they grew into two completely unique worlds from the exact same origin. So that's the big question we're tackling today. How did this actually happen? How did this one little island nation give birth to a massive continental superpower that, in a lot of ways, became its total opposite? It's a fascinating puzzle. All right, let's get into it. You can almost see the story in these pictures, right? On one hand, you've got the UK, ancient, layered, steeped in tradition, and on the other, the US, founded on revolutionary ideas, embodied by symbols of freedom. To really get how we went from one to the other, we first have to understand the very blueprint of any society. And that blueprint? Well, it's culture. Think of it like the invisible operating system running in the background. It shapes absolutely everything. Our government, our laws, our art, our beliefs, even our most basic daily habits. Now, the most important part of this whole slide, the real kicker, is that last sentence: it is learned, not inherited. This is so crucial. Culture is not in your DNA. It's something that's passed down, that you absorb, that you share. It's a thing that tells you, you're home. And because it's learned, it can also be changed, or, as we'll see, rejected completely. This is a perfect, almost funny example of how deep culture really goes. It's not just about the big, lofty ideas. It dictates the tiny rhythms of your day. I mean, we all have to eat dinner, right? But what time you eat tells a much bigger story about your society's attitude toward work and family and social life. It's like this unwritten rulebook that we all just follow. Okay, so with that in mind, let's turn to Britain first. And for this part, I want you to picture its history not as just a line of dates, but more like a giant, ancient oak tree. It grows incredibly slowly, it adds new layers, it gets battered by storms, but its roots are always in that same ancient ground. This timeline just shows this relentless pattern: invasion, settlement, and then absorption. You've got Celts, Romans, Anglo-Saxons, Vikings, Normans. Each new group didn't just wipe the slate clean. They merged, they blended in, they added their own layer to the tree. The Norman conquest in 1066 is a huge one. It didn't just bring in new kings, it totally reshaped the English language with words like government and justice, and set up a legal system we can still see traces of today. The story is one of constant, slow evolution. And the Magna Carta is the perfect example of this. This wasn't a bloody revolution to get rid of the king. It was basically a tough negotiation to limit what he could do. It's a gradual, pragmatic shift. It's about bending the rules, not completely smashing them. And this really sets the stage for a national character that tends to prefer reform over revolution. And this quote just nails the result of all that history. Britain has no single written constitution. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Its entire political system basically runs on tradition, on unspoken rules, and this shared understanding, this state of mind. It completely relies on everybody showing some restraint, on this mutual agreement that there are some lines you just don't cross. It's a whole system built on history, not on a blueprint. All right, let's hop across the pond to America now, and wow, it is a completely different story. If Britain is that ancient oak, America is like a brand new seed, planted on purpose in new soil with the goal of growing into something totally different. Its story is defined not by slow evolution, but by one massive, revolutionary break. Just look at the speed here. I mean, seriously, what took Britain thousands of years to build through layers of invasion, America basically created in a historical blink of an eye. In less than 200 years, it went from a few colonial outposts to a fully independent nation with a written constitution. This wasn't evolution. This was a super compressed, almost explosive act of creation. And here's the key. This wasn't just a war over taxes or land. It was a revolution of ideas. The colonists made a conscious choice to reject the entire British system they came from: the king, the aristocracy, the unwritten rules. Instead, they decided to build a new nation from the ground up, founded not on a shared ancient past, but on a shared belief in a set of very specific written-down principles: liberty and universal rights for all. So what we have are these two totally different origin stories. One is this slow, layered evolution. The other is a fast, dramatic ideological revolution. It's no surprise at all that they ended up with two very different ways of running a country.
Let's put them side by side and really see what grew out of these two paths.
This table just lays it out perfectly. The UK's slow evolution gave it a flexible, unwritten constitution, where all the power is basically fused together in Parliament. That means if a government has a big majority, it can get things done pretty fast. But the US Revolution, that led to a very specific written constitution that deliberately separates power into three branches. And that separation is designed to create friction. We call it checks and balances, which can cause political gridlock, sure, but it's also there to protect the country from any one person or group getting too much power. But, politics and government, that's only half the picture. How do these completely different histories actually shape how people in these countries see themselves? Who do they think they are, and why does that even matter? In Britain, because of that super long layered history, identity is incredibly complex, and it's often fragmented. It's defined by geography. Are you a northerner or a southerner? It's defined by social class, which is still a huge deal, and even by your accent, which can tell someone where you're from down to a few miles. It's this mosaic of overlapping, sometimes clashing local identities, all under one big national umbrella. And that is such a contrast to the American ideal, which, because it was born from a revolution, has always been about creating a single national identity out of many different backgrounds. The famous melting pot, where what's supposed to unite you isn't your past, but your belief in a shared set of ideas.
So we're left with this really fascinating split. You've got an ancient kingdom that just sort of evolved, and a new republic that was born in a flash of revolution. One culture shaped by absorbing everything that came its way, and another one shaped by making a clean break and starting over with a radical new idea. And the question this leaves us with isn't just about the past, it's about right now. How much of who we are today is defined by the story of how we began?